Hey, what's up, house groups? This week, Sonia Anderson came to Revision to walk us through her new book and take a deep dive into the theme of covenant throughout the entire Bible. And really, it's a look into the character of God that we see over and over again. But even though we see it, I don't think we're that good at living into it. I'm not sure that we always do a great job of living as though we're in covenant with God. I think it's more often than not contractual. And it's hard not to be. That's the world we live in, from our jobs to our cell phone plans. As long as they hold up their end of the deal, we'll hold up our end of the deal. But the second that they fail, we're out. Contract is broken. When Mediacom adds $50 to my bill for no apparent reason, I immediately call and get to spend 4 hours singing along to their hold music in order to have a 2-minute conversation letting them know that something's wrong. This isn't what we agreed to. Either fix it or I'm calling CenturyLink. As soon as something goes wrong, as soon as there's a breach of contract, we bail or we renegotiate. And let me just, that's okay. That's what contracts are for. That's why they exist. This is exactly how we should treat these situations in our lives where contracts are in place. But it's not how we should treat our relationship with God. There's a huge danger in living like our relationship with God is contractual. Especially since, at least for me, and I'm guessing this is true for a lot of people based on the conversations that I have and just observations I have seen in this and other people, but there's a huge danger in living contractually with God when the contract is completely one-sided and drawn up just in our own head. Have any of you ever done that before? Do you know what I mean? It's like saying to God, look, here's the deal. There's no way I'm going to be able to hold up my end of the deal. I'll try my best. And by that, I mean, absolutely, I will just get distracted with life and not try at all. But eventually, I will think of you at some point and check in to just make sure that you're doing everything that I expect you to do. Does that sound familiar? But here's the thing. This isn't even contract. It's worse. It's so much further. It's almost like slavery. It's a completely one-sided contract, I should say, that says, I'll be happy with you as long as you do everything for me to make me happy. And I don't know about you, but that's not a contract that I really want to be in. Just imagine on your wedding day, just standing across from the love of your life, and they look you dead in the eyes and say, the second that you screw up, I'm out. Then you sign on the line, and you wonder why months or years later, things just aren't working out quite how you expected them to. You see, contracts and covenants, they are two completely different things. And when we place contracts in the place of covenant, not only do we end up disappointed 100% of the time, but I think it reveals a deep lack of trust in us. It reveals just how much we need to be in control. Contracts, we can control. The fine print, it always gives us a way out if we don't like how things are going. Covenant is saying, I'm going to stand with you even when I don't like how things are going. But that requires trust. Trust that the other party has your best interest in mind. And I love the question that Sonia asked on Sunday because I think it boils this down so beautifully. Is God good, and can I trust him? And now I assume that I'm talking mostly to a room full of good Christians who know that the right answer to this question is yes. Yes, God is good, and yes, I can trust him. And so let me just ask it in a different way. Do you live that way? If someone were to just, very creepily, but if they were to just follow you around for a day and observe your life, would they be able to see you living in covenant with God? Could they tell that you believe he is good and that you trust him in all things? Now, let me just take a second to be clear. I'm not trying to guilt trip anyone in the room. My goal in this for you and really for myself too, my prayer is that the Spirit of God would move in us to help reveal the ways in which we're living contractually with God. The areas we're clinging to control, the areas in which we lack trust so that we can not only just live into the fullness of who God created us to be, but so that we could live a life of joy with our Creator in covenant. We don't need to cling so tightly to control. I think we've seen that over the last few weeks, looking back to our Paper Wall series on how fear and control over things like the future and money and work will keep us from experiencing God fully. It keeps us in contract with God and in a place where we're just measuring our good deeds against God's good deeds to us, and that's toxic. That's never been what it's about. Jesus came to right that ship and steer away from that kind of thinking because it was destroying people's relationship with him. Is God good, and can I trust him? I think these questions are the root of covenant love. It's knowing that even though we won't hold up our end of the deal perfectly, we're still loved and not abandoned by God, ever, at all. Like the prodigal son returning over and over again, and Jesus standing there time and time again with open arms and a reminder that he has paid it all for you. My favorite line from Sonia on Sunday was this covenant reminder that Jesus keeps his side of the covenant, and he keeps our side too. Like when we remember that and we live into that, all of a sudden the pressure is off. And we no longer just have to wonder if we're doing enough good things to hold up our end of the deal with God. Like a parent should never keep score of their kids to earn their love. And like a husband or wife shouldn't keep score of their spouse to earn their love. God doesn't keep score for us in order that we might earn his love. He's covered both sides in order to free us up to simply chase after him and be in relationship with him. And so my challenge for you tonight is tear up the contract. It's absolutely worthless. And ask yourself the questions. Is God good, and can I trust him? And if the answer is in fact yes, then how do we begin living in covenant with God? Hey everybody, one last thing really quick. Next week is Serve Week for house groups. Once a month, instead of just meeting regularly here, we meet together and we partner with a local nonprofit and serve. And I really want to encourage you to be there. Just like we have dinner nights with a purpose and fun nights with a purpose and regular house group nights with a purpose, we serve with a purpose. It's a way for us to get into a regular rhythm of positioning our hearts outwards. Jesus says, whatever we do for the least of these, we do for him. And so whether you're restocking a food pantry for high-need individuals and refugees in Des Moines, or you're sorting clothes at Many Hands, which directly impacts thousands of those in need in Haiti, you're making a kingdom impact. And also, just to be real honest with you, I want to guard all of our hearts from this idea that house groups is just about what we can get out of them, and instead recognize that we can also give to them. We all have the ability and opportunity to serve together and make a difference both right here in Des Moines and across the world. So let's do it. Let's commit just as a group to showing up and serving together. Just like I think one of the best ways to grow deeper in relationship together happens around the table with food, I think just as much relationships and friendships grow in people who serve together. And so next week, let's see what we can give together. I think a byproduct of that will be having a ton of fun together too. So it's a win-win. We'll see you at Serve Week next week.